Good morning, Mackenzie.
Morning. Thank you very much for having me.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas
With
to you
bells
too.
on. There you go. We've got bells over. You can have your own bells. I've got spare bells.
Excellent.
Just shake those whenever you want.
Cheers.
If you don't like a question, take the fifth by shaking the bells.
Right.
Okay. And I can reply with my own here. So Worzel, Gummidge, and you. I've seen it written about you. Did you say this? It was the role you were born to play. Have you said that?
I don't think I've said that. Other people have looked me up and down and said, yes, that was the part he was born to play.
But you do love Worzel, Gummidge.
I love him now. He wasn't part of my childhood, though.
Right, okay.
I didn't watch the original. I didn't watch the John Pertwee adaptation, but I think possibly that's one of the reasons I felt I could take this new version on.
No, you say take the new version on. Weren't you also responsible for the version?
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, my friend Christian Smith came to me a couple of years ago. He'd got the rights to the books, the original books by Barbara Youth and Todd, which were written way back in the 30s, and asked me if I fancied adapting them again for the television. And I thought, it's been 40 years since the last one. There's a whole generation of kids who don't even know the name Worzel Gummidge. Yeah. I think it's a good time to bring it back. So.
It's a great time to bring it back. Now, what was the incarnation, the original incarnation, the one before the one from the 80s, the John Pertwee one?
There was a BBC series in, I think, 1953.
Really?
Yeah, 4 episodes. And it's, back in the days when they didn't record it or they immediately threw it away. And so I don't think there's any footage of that left. But yeah, so this will be the 3rd television adaptation.
Right. So, it's already interesting as a project to talk about, okay? But let alone the fact that you're in it and you're a brilliant Worzel Gummidge. So how do you begin? Do you dare watch anything back? Obviously, you read the books. Within an inch of their lives? I
read the books, and I made a decision not to watch the John Pertwee adaptation until I'd at least got my idea set in my head, and perhaps, in fact, it was after the writing. I went back and looked at a few episodes, and it's great. It's an amazing thing, but I'm glad I left it until then.
Yeah, I think it's quite wise, because you hear this a lot, because we were talking to Greta Gerwig 2 days ago, who's written the 8th movie of Little Women,
right? Of course.
And she didn't watch any of the other 7 back. Great question from Vassos towards the end of the interview, and she said she didn't do it on purpose. And I think obviously that's I didn't listen to American radio for years and years and years, because everybody that I knew who had became the American version of the English version of American radio, and didn't work. But then I would go back before I did anything, just to make sure I wasn't making some obviously repeats. And I was like, I would think I'm this kind of genius. Look at the ideas come out, and they've been done before. Right. Did you do that? Is that what you did to check?
Well, no. No, not for the series. No, because I took all my inspiration from the books and then sort of expanded on it. And I was aware that there was various things in the John Pertwee adaptation that were invented for that. For example, Aunt Sally being his love interest rather than his aunt, which she was in the books. And
This is fantastic.
Yeah, so there are various things like that people will perhaps miss first of all, but it's for the kids.
So you're 2 1 hours. You have 2 1 hours. They kick off on Boxing Day. Is that correct? Okay, so BBC One have got this one sussed. We're not sure, BBC One. We're not sure about your Christmas Eve, to be honest. But your Boxing Day with Worzel Gummidge at 6:20 on Boxing Day, and now it's 2 1 hours. Is it one day after the next?
Yes. So the next one's on the 27th at 7 o'clock.
All right. So 2 1 hours. I like that, don't you?
I'm really pleased with them, and I think it's a nice. And hopefully, if people like them, there'll be more to come. But as a reintroduction, yeah.
All right. So what can you tell us about what goes on without ruining anything that you don't want us to know?
The first one is setting up the world, and Susan and John, these foster kids from the nearest big city, come to stay in Scatterbrook, so they're kind of fish out of water. Yes, yeah, and they soon wander up to 10 Acre Field and meet Worzel, who mistakes them for scarecrows to begin with, which is why he speaks to them and then realises his mistake. Yep. So and that one's all about the seasons of ground to a halt, and the scarecrows have to get them moving again. So
right, and how do you channel your inner scarecrow as an actor, Mackenzie?
Oh gosh, I stand in the middle of a field, I guess. I don't.
BBC One, Mackenzie Crook with us. Where's the Gummidge? BBC One, 6:20 p.m. Boxing Day, and same time the day after, 6:20.
7 o'clock the day after.
7 o'clock the day after. Rock and roll.
The Chris Evans Breakfast Show with Sky.